All right. Welcome to Raw and Real Heart to Heart Conversations. I think that's the name of this podcast. I am Marjorie Chapman, founder and head coach of Big Bold Love. And this is my dear friend Dawn. And we have conversations every week, and we decided we would include other people in on them. And I don't know what your week is like, Dawn, but mine's been a doozy.
I'm right with you. And to that end, we've got a short call this morning because we both have things. So,
yeah. So I'm not big on astrology, but I reached out to a friend of mine who is, much more into it, and asked her, I was like, is something going on? Because it feels really, really heavy. And everybody that I talk to is having the same experience. And, in that vein, I really wish we didn't have a week lag with producing this podcast, because, in a week's time, the energies will have shifted. But, somebody may need to hear this today, tomorrow. But anyway, so just to fill you in on my not even past week, my son's girlfriend of 2.5 years broke up with him suddenly on Friday. My other son's very mild-mannered dog bit him on the face on Friday, and he had to have stitches on his nose. I sent a very self-expressed email to my daughter's therapist saying pretty much exactly what I thought was going on, only to find out that she had been added to the thread.
Your daughter had?
My daughter had, without me realizing it. So like it was a thread that I had started, and with, the therapist and my intuitive healer. And at some point the therapist had added my daughter in. Yep. And so my daughter was added into the thread, and I didn't realize it. And so that was 2 days ago. And today, my husband has applied for the perfect job, and like a month ago interviewed for it, still hasn't heard anything, and his contract ends in a week and a half. We found a house that we absolutely love in Hamburg, but it's almost 100,000. It's going to be almost 100,000 more than we wanted to spend. And we kind of at least want to have the job secured before we, play that game. Sure. What else? The fourth kid is great. Okay. They came over yesterday.
What did the astrologer say about the energy right now?
Let me see if I can grab it real quick.
Because I'm curious as well. It's been to say the least tumultuous.
Right. Yeah. And, it does make me feel a little bit better that it's not just my life that seems to be imploding. Nope. And today I was cried all the way home from taking the kids to school. And I've been sitting out here on the patio with my shoes off, trying to ground, and hopefully the rooster next door is not too noisy. Maybe Dave can turn that down too. Let's see.
Just include it. How about we just include it?
Exactly. And, it's just been beautiful. The clouds actually have cleared a lot, but it was really, the beginning of The Simpsons, with the big puffy white clouds. It felt like that this morning. And so I've been sitting out here for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes now. I had my head back, just looking at the clouds, allowing myself to cry.
Yeah, I had me a cry this morning too. It It was
letting myself feel it all.
Beautiful releasing this morning.
Okay. So she said, she's like, I need to look it up fully. The air is definitely heavy right now. So even just that, like, made me feel better. So she said, from one of the sites I use, on Monday afternoon, the sun in Taurus forms a square with the moon in Aquarius. This last quarter moon phase points to a small crisis of consciousness. After basking in the awareness symbolized by the full light of the moon at the time of last week's full moon, we arrive at a point where we need to sort out what works for us and what doesn't in preparation for the next week's new moon, when something new is born once again. This is not the best time to start a major project, as the decreasing light of the moon symbolizes a descent into unconsciousness. It's time to begin finishing up the details of that which was conceived at the last new moon. It's time to consider our revelations, what they mean to us, and what can be done. So
a bit of a cleansing.
That's what I hear too. Yeah, like completion, right? Completing on past projects, don't start anything new, but like tying up loose ends. And I've been out here watching the clouds while I, am barefoot. It's cold this morning, but I'm barefoot trying to get as much energy from the earth as I can. And it's been helpful to just let myself be, just like the clouds have been passing in the sky, the feelings have been passing through. And I don't let myself do that very much.
Yeah.
And just trusting, like being out here in nature, just like the wind is in the trees and
your background is beautiful. I mean, it looks almost artificial.
I know. When I first opened the camera, I was like, it looks like a green screen.
Yep.
But like trees, especially, they bend and they sway with what comes. They're not rigid. And so that's where I've been.
And they are rooted.
And they're rooted, exactly. So I've been just practicing what little bit I can. And, I haven't done too much looking into it, but, I'm pretty clear I'm an empath. I'm pretty clear I don't know how to be an empath. So, I'm also allowing that, right? Like, there are a lot of feels happening around me. And, quite possibly none of them are mine.
Quite possibly.
But they're big. And, so, allowing. I'm getting trained and developed in allowing.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your neck of the woods?
And I can also hear that.
Oh, go ahead.
I can also hear that there's a practice to put in place. Oh, I'm sorry. It's probably my internet. Yeah, there's another spot where there's resistance. My internet's not functioning properly. I can also hear that there's awareness and practices for you to put in place as an empath to create flow, because you're not gonna stop it. You're not gonna block it, right? But like how to have it flow in and flow out, right? Like the pain that your son is having with the breakup, and whatever is your daughter is dealing with inside of, having the experience of everything that you're thinking about her, right? In that email, and it's awful, and it's authentic.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm a coach, and I'm a really good coach, and I know I'm a really good coach. And, in the past, I would have made myself wrong for not having my shit together, right? Like I should, if I'm going to be a coach, if I'm going to support other people in having everything they want in their life, I should already be there. And that's part of why I wanted to, keep doing our call today is, no, like none of us have it all together. I'm pretty clear on that, and the more together I think people may seem, possibly the more not they are. And it's just a really good tool that they've created that, they fake it well. My son, I know his heart is just crushed. But if you spent time with him, you wouldn't realize there was anything wrong.
Yeah, there's like bubbling under the surface.
Yeah. And every once in a while, he can't quite contain it. And, if I say something or, if I mention her name or ask how he's doing, man, there's an eruption.
Yeah.
Or it's either I don't want to talk about it. I told you I don't want to talk about it. Or it's you can just feel his energy just plummet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got that.
But yeah, we've all got stuff. Even Oprah.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah. So you got it. Look, so I can start with the I've been pulling fairy cards under the heading of really wanting to connect and listen to messages that are being delivered to me, because I don't, I listen to my ego, I listen to my head, and I really want to get connected to my heart and listen to it. And today's card was healing. And there's a lot of healing needed. So what so is, I got a call from my mom last week that she is not feeling well and my dad is not feeling well. And I asked them if they wanted me to come up. And my mom said, no, I don't want you to be at risk. Now, mind you, I had seen them the Saturday before. And mom said that she had allergies. She had a little tickle in her throat. Okay, well, I could see, how that could be. And get a call the next week. Yes, please come up. We're really struggling. It's really not good up here. And so what's happening is my mom is very weak at the time. She's very weak and couldn't manage my dad. So my mom is about 125 pounds. She lost 10 pounds in the last week. And about 5 foot, if she's lucky. My dad is about 6 foot and almost 300 pounds. Mm. And he had stopped being able to be mobile and was in his recliner for almost 12 hours with everything that entails, if you can imagine. Okay. And so I get there and I'm wearing a mask and because I don't know what's happening. And they take him to the emergency room and admit him. And I'm caring for my mom and she just needs to rest. She needs to change her sheets and she needs to rest. She is wiped out being the primary caregiver for my dad. What has ensued since last Saturday? So dad was admitted to the hospital. He has pneumonia, a viral infection, and COVID, and is currently not able to motor himself in any way. Like he can't. And mom she went to the ER on Monday to get tested and checked out. She'd only, had a phone call with her doctor. And she does in fact have COVID. And what they said based on her symptoms is that she's had it for 9 days. So therefore I have been exposed. So that's where I'm going at, that's why we're doing our call is going to be soon, early. So I had a rapid test and so far I'm negative. And I'm going to be, getting the full lab test at 10:30 this morning to confirm. And so far, no symptoms, thank God. And I've had no access to their healthcare or been involved. I don't know what insurance they have. I have no information. They have not been willing to have any kind of conversation about what's next to prepare for anything. Nothing. Oof. Nothing. I have access to their bank accounts and I'm on their HIPAA. That's all. Power of attorney and anything, there's nothing. Their doctor is amazing and she is working closely with me. And my dad is in the hospital and becoming belligerent and completely uncooperative and angry and scared and will not cooperate with the nurses and is cussing them pretty regularly. And he wants to come home.
Yeah.
And he cannot for a multitude of reasons, but he cannot come home. And with the current state of COVID, the only rehab that is available is 2 hours away.
Oh.
So there's no access, like we can't have access to him anyway, right? And he does not know that yet. I have not broached that subject with him in any way. I'm the only one that he'll talk to at this point. I've ordered my mother to not answer the phone because when he calls, he yells at her and is demanding and ugly, and it's not nice. So I've ordered her to not call him. I mean, to not take his calls because that's what he wants to do. He really wants to come home, and I get it. And this all sucks a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. And I was supposed to be working this week. Funny thing. So this week, the company that I work for is working a golf tournament. And so the whole company pretty much is at this golf tournament. And girl, when I tell you, like, I needed to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning. And I was mad. I was pouting. I was like, I don't wanna, and like all my stuff, right? I've got my nest, I have my life functioning the way I want it to. And I got there the first day because I didn't know any of this. I got there on Monday morning and I didn't have any awareness of all of this that was there. And of course I wore a mask the whole time. So, but leaving in the morning on the way there, I went, oh, I love getting up early and meeting the day.
Yeah.
And I really miss being with people. And wow, I'm outside in the air and because I've been clustered in my house. I go for walks and things, or I go to the grocery store, but right. And then blam, the very next day, I get home that night and find all this out and can no longer go there. Mm. And I'm like, oh, I just get excited about it.
I know.
Dang it.
Yeah.
And so, even talking with my friends, the same thing, like silly little things, just their days have just gone to shit and just like block and block and block. And then this morning, like I said, I'm doing everything to align to connecting with spirit. And I troll Facebook and there's a message, something about Kundalini. I've never heard of it. I don't really know. I don't practice yoga as a practice. It's just a way for me to stretch, right? I don't know anything about the spirituality of yoga. And then there's something about Kundalini. And so I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, what's Kundalini? Kundalini is part of this yoga practice that it isn't about getting to anywhere. What it's about is where you are right now, clean house. It's not about moving forward in your yoga practice. It's being really grounded where you are and cleaning out your spiritual house. And I went, oh, because that's part of, taking care of this body. And, up till now, it's been about dancing. Dancing is my access to, being taken care of, having any kind of exercise. And yoga it's nice, but it doesn't turn me on. This lights me up. And I went, oh, thank you, God. Spiritual, whatever. Okay, got it. I am clear. And I got a book and it was a Kindle free book. I mean, I go to look for a book and then, get there and it's a Kindle free book. And man, I dove right in. That doesn't happen in my world. That's like, oh, that's a good idea. And like, let me go check it out. And let me download the book and I'll read it later. And dove right in and am in love and can't wait to begin. Well, I've already begun just in the learning of it. You know, it was like, oh, let me just get in action. No, I want to learn all about this. I want to clean the spiritual house. And free myself up and get connected. And I can't believe how I've been being with my parents. You know, my dad yells and screams at me and I'm like, I get it, Dad. This sucks. I understand. I hear you. Let's take one step at a time. Let's get you moved from the bed to the chair and back to the bed. Will you work with the nurses and do that for me today? Dad, I want you to be able to come home. And, you know, for you to do that, we need to make sure that you can move yourself. And I've not broached the subject about, you know, him being 2 hours away. And, you know, and it does not look likely right now. Well, what so is, I can have hope that he'll get to come home again. And it does not look likely. Looks like is that he's going to go from this rehab to a care facility because he cannot move himself from one location to another. So that means he can't get himself to the bathroom. Like that's the primary thing, right? Like everything else, right? But he needs to be able to get himself to relieve himself.
Yeah.
So, and you know, like I said, and man, team and teamwork. The neighbor has been amazing. My best friend across the street is completely vaccinated. So she was able to take my mom home from the hospital because I was like, oh God, how am I going to get my mother home from the hospital? I'm like, I can't call her a car. I can't, you know, I've got Instacart. So I've been able to deliver her food. You know, I mean, it's all been flowing in that realm. The doctor, I was on the phone with the doctor yesterday and the doctor said, look, there are patients that I really like. There are patients that I really care about. And then there are patients that are like your parents that I treat like my own parents. She's like, I love them very much. And I'm going to do everything in my power that I can. And you call me whenever you need me for anything. You call me. They will get me. I care about your parents very much. I was so worried about all the logistics. I don't know their insurance. I don't know how to fight for them. I don't know how to be their advocate. I don't know what to do. I feel so helpless. And then here's this wonderful woman who I acknowledged. And I don't have to know any of all that stuff. They know it. And they're in my corner, in their corner. So I don't have to figure it all out. I was so worried about, you know, everybody's giving me all this advice. You've got to get power of attorney. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You've got to get that. Oh God, what? I have to do what? I mean, my mom can't talk for longer than 5 minutes on the phone. How the hell do you want me to get all this stuff done? I can't. And then there's this doctor that's going to handle it. Apparently there's healing and cleansing, clearing out the space for what's next. It's kind of like the image I just was delivered. I'm going to say delivered. The image I was just delivered was like, we're in the ark and there's a flood and it's cleaning out what doesn't need to be there. All the worry and concern and
yeah.
Clean it out.
What's there for me too is trust.
Oh.
Right. Like,
yeah.
You know, with my daughter, you know, trusting that her hearing my raw and real communication to her therapist is actually what's best for her. She sent it to her boyfriend and her boyfriend told her that he agreed with me. And so that was
Wow.
That was a conversation I wanted to have with him. And, so we were able to text back and forth a little bit, he and I, and
wow.
He's like, I know she's mad at me, but I needed to say it and you gave me the opportunity. I was like, great.
That's so huge. Because look, it's probably been sitting there for him in the background too.
Exactly.
And somebody needed to pop that cork.
Yep. And all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure it's hard for her to hear and do it.
But here's the crazy thing. How when you tell a lie and you get found out in that lie, you actually feel relief.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes, often, that happens. I had that same experience of her that night.
Oh.
Like there was this fire that the anger caused in her that for me was really authentic. Like, it's like, that's who my daughter is. And as my astrology friend said, sounds like maybe you helped her find her missing fire. But like, it was almost like a relief, like she had been found out. And I don't think it was, I don't think any of this is conscious for her. But, she, if I'm an empath and I'm feeling all this, she's like 10 times.
Oh, she most certainly is.
At least.
Most certainly.
And, young. So, I keep viewing her kind of like Harry Potter, when he's in the zoo and all of a sudden, the glass is gone and he's done it. And he's like, I don't know what I did. And like, she has these powers and she has no control over them right now. And all of her journey is to get her hands around her gifts. And
there's something right there. Cause, my housemate, former boyfriend, had a really big awareness of his what the impact is of being around an empath, because he's very empathic. And he's like, yeah, I say about 20% of the stuff that I actually see. He's like, I actually say it. And I got really present to what it's like to live under that microscope, knowing all the things that he sees and hears that he's not saying. Because I can watch him. I mean, I'm sure that there's as I peel away all these layers that I've put up to protect myself, I can imagine that I have protected myself. That's been my way of coping with my empathy, my empathic abilities. It's because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle seeing this, not being able to say what I see, and you've had the experience when I see something and can't not tell you. And it's like, blah, because it just can't be contained. So I couldn't even imagine if that's like every day. And, it really takes something to be like, I watch him not say something. Like there's literally like a over his face. I can see him see something and not say it in the space of, being loving and listening and being over here with me and not being with his, right? So it takes something to be responsible for not only what you're feeling, but how it is for the people around you to know that they're under that. I say microscope, but it takes something to be around somebody who sees you so clearly, so obviously.
I really hear that in reference to my son. Like, I bet it's really fucking annoying for him right now that I keep saying what I say. And 95% of what's in my head does not come out of my mouth because I know he doesn't, he has made the request and I'm trying my damnedest to honor the request to just let him be.
Yeah. And, like you said,
but I'm a coach and a mom.
Yeah. And, what I could imagine is that if he has been authentic and vulnerable with this girl, right?
Yeah.
He could experience it like a betrayal. Like, I've given you all of me. You're the only one that sees all of me that I feel safe with. And now you've taken away my safe space.
That's probably spot on. And, her my heart really goes out to both of them, because it wasn't a, I don't love you anymore breakup. It was I'm really ambitious and I don't think you are. And I'm afraid for the future. I think
clearing out what doesn't work for her.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Me and your son should totally talk, because that's really,
good luck.
Well, I'm just saying, like, for me to share my experience with him may provide him with something without him having to, be like recreating him. Because look, when my ex looked at me in the face and said, it's not that I'm not, he's like, I'm choosing me.
That's pretty much exactly what she said.
And it's not that he didn't love me. And it's not that he's choosing someone else over me.
Yeah.
That was not his experience. He was like, I'm choosing me. And I mean, moment by moment, it's like, damn, how brave you are. And what a jerk. Right? Oh, you're so brave. Shit. Right? Like, both things were right there for me. Was like, good for you. We don't forward each other's games. We don't, it doesn't support each other to play this game together anymore, and damn it, and there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like, really getting present to that. It's not about me.
Yeah.
That's freaking takes some to have it not be about, I got discarded.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where we go, right? Yeah.
I love you.
You've got a test. I hope your test comes back negative, and good luck with everything, and call me if you need me.
Thank you. You too. Bye, baby.
Bye.